How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Return of the Evil Dead. This is from 1973, directed by Armando De Ossorio, and stars Tony Kendall, Esperanza Roy, Frenando, Sancho, and Leon Fleming. And I guess before I get too far into things, I should address the title. This is called Return of the Evil Dead, but no, this is not a sequel to Sam Raimi's classic film. This movie is a sequel to Tombs of the Blind Dead. Earlier versions of this movie's title were things like Return of the Blind Dead, or my personal favorite title for this movie, Attack of the Blind Dead. But all that aside, how's the actual movie? Like, I don't say this lightly, but Blind Dead 2 is probably a case where the sequel is better than the original, and this is coming from someone who loves Tombs of the Blind Dead. But admittedly, Tombs did have its slow moments, like that section in the middle where the Blind Dead weren't in the movie. You still do get that atmosphere, and the Blind Dead are still the coolest zombies ever. Skeletal hands covered in dirt and grime, and their rogue evil Templar knights. They're really cool, but here they get much more time to shine. This movie has so much more action. For real, in this movie, a much larger group of them are laying siege on this town, and we get to see them absolutely tear through people. Also in this movie, they get to use their swords a whole lot more. That's really cool. And they also do play off the idea of them being blind more, and we do get more segments where the characters are trying to sneak around. But man, let me tell you, during that initial siege of the town, it's this big, over-the-top, crazy action sequence, and it was honestly so cool that a few times I had to pause the movie just to process how cool and over-the-top it was. As I've said before, the Blind Dead are some of my favorite zombies in cinema, and I really loved getting to see them in the first movie, but it's that second movie that really gives them their time to shine. This is so big and crazy and over the top, and I absolutely love this one. If you watch the first and you weren't 100% on board because admittedly the first is a little slower, definitely give the second one a chance. I can definitely recommend it. This movie's super cool. But all that being said, what's the movie about? I don't want to do any major spoilers, but I do want to break down and analyze part of the plot. I'll be avoiding how the movie ends, but from here on out, let's dive in a little deeper. We open up with this American guy in Spain. He's a fireworks expert, and he has this big, cool coat. A really fun and cool lead hero character. You gotta love this guy. Well, he gets hired to do a fireworks show for this celebration in a small village. And when he gets there, surprise, his ex-girlfriend is actually working for the mayor there. And you may think, oh, this is some huge coincidence. But later on in the cemetery, she says, I actually hired you on purpose. You see, I moved to this small town. The mayor and a few of his guys are being super creeps. The mayor's making unwanted advances on me. And to be honest, I hate it here. I really miss you, so I thought, hey, I'll hire your company so you have to come and see me. And then maybe you can take me with you after the celebration and we can just blow this town together. And I like how this kind of relates to the first movie, but is a completely different plot. You know, two lovers that haven't seen each other in a long time and just wanting to get away from the current situation you're in. Similar themes used completely differently here. However, what exactly is the celebration the town's doing? It turns out they're celebrating killing the evil Templar knights. They're even lighting effigies of them on fire, and we get to find out the Templars' backstory. Basically, this small town 500 years ago, laid siege on the Templars' Abbey after they did some sacrifices and burned out their eyes and then set them on fire. And they vowed that 500 years later, they'd come back and take their revenge on the town. Really does have kind of a The Fog feel to it, doesn't it? And yeah, some of you will notice that there's some changes between this and Tombs of the Blind Dead. In Tombs of the Blind Dead came back every single night. They didn't wait 500 years. And also in Tombs of the Blind Dead, crows picked out their eyes. They weren't burnt out. Now I see two possibilities to this. It's either that the Rogue Templars were a big group and they spread out, and maybe this is a completely different sect of them and they have their own rules and magic. That could be it. Or maybe this movie is a separate continuity from the first one. I mean, Leon Fleming's back, great to see her, but she's playing a completely different character, so it could just be this is its own continuity. But trust me, just kind of put that aside because the movie from here on out is going to get pretty awesome. I mean, it has been 500 years, and even though the people back then did blind the Rogue Templars, they're making a bunch of sound tonight. Drinking and music and dancing. Oh, and also, yeah, they're lighting off a ton of fireworks. So yeah, the Blind Dead are going to have a pretty easy time finding the village. I like how it kind of simmers for a minute before we get into the action. We get to see people on the edge of town like this train conductor come across them first, and we also get the mayor and his scummy men roughing up the guy and trying to get him to leave town a little bit early because of course they want the girl. But after that simmering, we get the initial siege of the town, and oh my gosh, is this sequence amazing. As I said earlier, there's much more of the Blind Dead here, and the people are all out on the street celebrating. There's a giant crowd, and to see them come through and they all draw their swords, and it turns into this horrific siege. It's absolutely an intense sequence, and the action here goes pretty hard. I mean, to get to be in a Jeep and having the Blind Dead chase you on horseback, that's an awesome sequence. And then, oh no, some of the Blind Dead are blocking the exit to this town. It's a good thing I'm a firework expert. Let's have him turn into a cheap dummy and then blow him up. It's absolutely awesome, and I really do love this sequence. It goes on for a good chunk of the movie, and to get to see sequences like the evil mayor up there on the second floor of his big rich house looking down on the peasants, and then your main hero grabbing a pitchfork and being like, okay guys, let's band together and kill these things. Oh man, this is so cool. Now obviously it doesn't do that for the whole movie, and eventually we'll isolate our leads and do a Night of the Living Dead style confinement section, and I was a little worried about that energy diffusing a little bit, but I actually thought the ending, while different, was pretty cool, where we get to see our lead characters and how some of them are scummy and willing to do absolutely horrible things. You know, the evil mayor's there, his henchman is there. We get to see this innocent family, and of course they have a young daughter that you gotta be careful and protect. You have this guy that's a little bit like Torgo from Manos the Hands of Fate, and we see earlier that he kind of worships the Blind Dead, but no one in the town knows that, so what's going to happen? I will say there's a really fun tunnel sequence with him, and the ending of that has a pretty wacky moment that I thought was pretty cool. And it all leads to this really cool revelation at the end, and there was just this really fun moment, and I am trying to obviously talk around it and not spoil it, but I really did like how the movie ended as well. So overall, Return of the Evil Dead, aka Attack of the Blind Dead, aka Blind Dead 2, this movie is really fun. It is better than the original, and I love the original, and I absolutely can't wait to cover the next two. I really do love this series. Really cool. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see me talk about more movies kind of like this, you can click right there and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.